Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Márquez faces a lengthy layoff after shoulder surgery following his crash in Indonesia. Medical analysis suggests up to a 16-week recovery window, a timeline that makes a late-season return uncertain and hands Ducati and the paddock a new set of strategic questions as the calendar runs down. Francesco Bagnaia arrives at Phillip Island under a spotlight. After a high at Motegi, where a return to GP24 parts restored his rhythm, the Italian endured a troubling Mandalika weekend that reopened questions about his 2025 form on the GP25. Bagnaia says he and Ducati are working hard to pinpoint the cause ahead of a track that could suit him and offer a reset. Ducati test rider Michel Pirro has been summoned to replace injured world champion Marc Márquez at the Australian Grand Prix, marking a milestone 70th Premier Class start. The call-up comes after Marquez underwent minor surgery on a right shoulder injury sustained at Mandalika. Ducati confirmed the number 93 will miss Phillip Island and Sepang as he recovers. Pirro arrives at one of the season's fastest and most spectacular circuits, ready to help Ducati gather data and keep the factory's program on track. Jack Miller returns to Phillip Island confident the flowing seaside circuit will suit the Yamaha M1 and give Pramac a chance to shine on his home soil. After a patchy run of results this season, the Australian is optimistic the track's high-speed corners will help him regain momentum in front of a passionate home crowd. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marquez suffered a coracoid fracture with associated ligament damage when he was struck on the opening lap in Indonesia. Initial conservative treatment failed to show sufficient stabilization, so surgeons proceeded with operative stabilization of the acromioclavicular ligaments. My goal is to be back before the end of the season, but without rushing things beyond the doctor's recommendations. Surgery aimed to fix stability and protect long-term function, but it also introduces a multi-week rehab roadmap. A 16-week prognosis, cited by orthopedic analysis, would likely rule Marquez out of the remaining rounds, Phillip Island, Sepang and possibly Valencia, and puts the Valencia test at risk. Ducati has already named Michel Pirro to stand in at Phillip Island. For a champion used to fighting every weekend, the enforced absence shifts priorities from race hits to recovery, rehabilitation and measured planning for 2026. Doctors stress the injury has a good prognosis when repaired surgically, and scans excluded links to Marquez's prior 2020 arm trauma. Still, history cautions against rushed returns. Marquez himself has warned others to respect your body after earlier comebacks brought complications. Conservative rehab, staged physiotherapy and progressive loading will determine whether the rider meets optimistic return targets. Ducati must balance short-term championship aims with long-term development. A substitute rider can gather data and run parts, but the loss of the number 93's feedback is significant given his role this season. Michel Pirro's experience makes him a sensible short-term cover, but he cannot fully replace Marc's race input. With the rider's title already secured, Ducati's focus may tilt toward parts evaluation and protecting Marquez's health for 2026. Marquez's public stance remains pragmatic. He wants to return but will follow medical advice. His previous admissions about past mistakes suggest he may accept a cautious timetable this time. Rehabilitation milestones, early immobilization, progressive ROM, strength and functional testing will dictate any racing date. He accepts the need to be patient and not repeat earlier errors of premature comebacks. A 16-week recovery would likely end Marc Márquez's 2025 on the sidelines. The focus for now is clear: complete surgical repair, disciplined rehab, and measured return to race decisions. For Ducati and the championship narrative, the coming weeks will be about managing expectations, collecting useful data with a replacement rider and ensuring the 9-time champion returns fully fit rather than rushed back for heroics. Mandalika produced one of Bagnaia's worst outings of the year, a weekend that contrasted sharply with the confidence he recovered at Motegi. The sudden reappearance of front-end woes has left rider and team scrambling for answers. "We're coming into this race after a complicated weekend. We're working hard to understand exactly what happened at Mandalika." The swing from Motegi to Mandalika illustrates how fragile momentum can be when a rider is adapting between two different specification packages. The Misano test in Motegi showed immediate benefit from reverting to selected GP24 components, notably ride height device choices and other parts that helped Bagnaia regain front confidence. That brief renaissance proved the problem is solvable, but also underlined how small changes can yield big psychological and on-track gains. He wants to recover. "The same feeling we had on the track at Motegi." For Bagnaia, the technical tweaks did more than change lap times. They rebuilt a fragile sense of trust in the front end, which is central to his speed. With Marc Márquez sidelined by shoulder surgery, Bagnaia will be Ducati's lone full-time rider in Australia, an elevated responsibility and a rare shot at redemption on a circuit that historically suits aggressive, flowing style. Phillip Island's high-speed rhythm and generous traction zones could play to his strengths. He notes, "Phillip Island has been a place where he's been fast and consistent, even if victory has eluded him." The combination of a favorable layout and the absence of several frontrunners hands Bagnaia a clear chance, but it's one that depends on quickly restoring setup stability. Ducati's approach is methodical: analyze Mandalika telemetry, replicate problematic conditions in the garage, and avoid knee-jerk package swaps. Bagnaia and engineers must decide whether to consolidate the Motegi baseline or chase marginal gains that might destabilize his confidence again. The balance is delicate. A correct incremental fix can restore pace. The wrong change can compound uncertainty. Bagnaia's emphasis on understanding exactly what happened signals patience over panic. Bagnaia sits 88 points behind Alex Marquez for runner-up and is only 20 clear of Marco Bezzecchi. Tangible stakes even if the rider's title is out of reach. With 4 rounds remaining, consistent top results would salvage momentum into the winter and influence Ducati's 2026 development path. The immediate goal is to reclaim the Motegi feeling and deliver a normal weekend, Q2, solid sprint and race performance. Francesco Bagnaia's Phillip Island weekend is a test of diagnosis as much as speed. Mandalika's setback forced a recalibration. Motegi showed what's possible when front confidence returns. Now Ducati and Bagnaia must turn careful analysis into stable setup solutions quickly, because on a fast, flowing track like Phillip Island, small improvements can deliver a very big result. Pirro, the factory's long-serving test rider and occasional substitute since 2013, expected to skip a MotoGP season for the first time in years but was instead chosen to step into Marquez's seat at Phillip Island. His deep knowledge of the Desmosedici and history of race substitution made him Ducati's natural option. "I'm coming to Phillip Island. I wish Marc a speedy recovery so he can fully honor on track the title he won with the Desmosedici GP," Pirro said. Pirro's presence gives Ducati continuity. He knows the bike's evolution intimately, and can translate factory development work straight into race day feedback. With the championship effectively secured and Marquez sidelined, Ducati's priority shifts toward data collection, component evaluation and supporting team riders. Pirro's role will likely focus on testing new parts under race conditions and helping Ducati compare GP25 behavior against prior configurations. His contribution could be especially valuable as the factory targets late-season development and next year's packaging choices. Ducati previously designated Pirro as a trusted stand-in multiple times. His smooth integration into race weekends keeps disruption to a minimum. Pirro has scored points in substitute outings, most recently in 11th at Cota, 2023, and boasts a best finish of P4 at Valencia, 2018. He brings a calm, technical approach, ideal for a weekend where engineering feedback matters more than championship placings. He thanked Ducati and framed Phillip Island as an opportunity to make the most of this weekend of work. Expect Pirro to prioritize setup stability and long-run feedback over aggressive qualifying gambits. Ducati has not yet confirmed Marquez's Sepping substitute. Team rules under a concession limit wildcard flexibility, and the factory could opt for another test rider or a World SBK name if needed. Meanwhile, Marquez's recovery timeline remains cautious after surgery. Ducati will balance his return ambitions against medical advice. Pirro's weekend will inform Ducati's decisions on race spec parts and help maintain momentum while the team supports Marquez's rehabilitation. Michel Pirro's Phillip Island return is pragmatic and strategic. A veteran hand filling a technical, data-driven role for Ducati while the new world champion recovers. For Pirro it's a personal milestone, 70 Premier Class starts, and for Ducati a chance to keep development work moving under race conditions. Above all, Pirro's public wish for Marquez's speedy recovery frames the weekend, competitive work, but with a clear human priority. Miller believes Phillip Island's fast, flowing layout matches the M1's strengths. Places where momentum and corner speed can be exploited more than brutal braking or tight, technical slow sections. He expects those characteristics to play into Promac's hands. He said the circuit should suit the bike well, with lots of fast corners that help you maintain and build speed. A track match doesn't guarantee a result, but it increases the likelihood of a strong weekend if setup and tire life come together. Racing at home adds emotional fuel. Miller talked about the pleasure of competing in front of local fans and his long association with Phillip Island, from childhood memories to Moto3 and podiums. That connection can sharpen focus and motivation. He recalled first visiting as a fan in 2009 and highlighted the huge pleasure of racing at home. Home weekends often produce overperformance. The trick is turning adrenaline into clean, consistent laps. Results this year have been mixed, with a season highlight of P5 at Coda but few top 10s otherwise. Still, teammate Miguel Oliveira's stronger recent form suggests the chassis package has potential. Miller hopes Phillip Island will unlock it. He's curious to see what we can achieve, and intends to start strong from FP1. If Pramac can replicate the pace shown by Oliveira, a Q2 slot and a solid points haul are realistic targets. Team director Gino Borsa backed Miller's optimism, saying the M1 could be a turning point at Phillip Island and calling for immediate strong sessions to capitalize. The team sees the weekend as an opportunity to convert encouraging signs into tangible results. He expects Jack to deliver something special for his home crowd. Team belief and clear objectives, Q2, points in both races, give Miller a defined blueprint for the weekend. Miller's ambition is measured, a return to Q2, strong race pace and a chance to fight for points and a proud home performance. Rather than grand promises, he's focused on execution from the first sessions. Fingers crossed we can put on a good show for them. That pragmatic mindset, combined with the track's characteristics, is the right mix to turn expectation into results. Phillip Island offers Jack Miller and Pramac a believable route back up the order, a circuit that suits the Yamaha, a motivated rider in front of his people, and a team convinced of the package's potential. If the M1 delivers the hope for stability and tire management, Miller could not only enjoy a special home weekend, he could turn it into a real performance statement. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!